You ready for the proper intro? I'm going to do it.
I'm excited.
I'm going to do it. Here we go. Welcome to the first episode of For the Record. FOUR.
Oh, I like that.
My name's Tim Blackwell, and every week I'm going to be asking Joe Hildebrand 4 burning questions from the world of news.
So it's for the record. FOUR. So it's
FOUR.
4 questions, but it's for the record.
4 questions for the record.
That's great.
Did
you think of
the
that?
record straight? I kind of half did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because I had the kind of record part, but after that, just nothing. Crickets.
I just knew I wanted newspapers
Jeez.
and you. So, welcome. Do I say welcome or do you say welcome to me?
No, you are the host. You are
Am
the.
I?
Yeah.
I'm behind the
in
desk.
the house of Blackwell.
Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't want to do it in your studio,
very-
actually.
No, it's
I wanted to feel comfortable.
you want to
there,
play a
mate.
home game.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I mean, obviously the stakes are so high. You don't want to take any risks. It's just World War III.
Well, that's right. So we should talk about what we're going to talk about,
Okay.
which is what?
World War III.
Yeah, World War III.
Or possible World War III, because there's about 3 World War III. So
All right, let me start with question number 1, and then this whole podcast will be
is that
self-explanatory.
what are we
after that.
talking about?
No, the question number 1 is my first question about World War III.
Okay, great.
So there's Russia, Ukraine.
Yep.
There's Israel, Palestine.
Yep.
Why has Israel decided to target Iran now?
I'm so glad you asked. The reason is that Iran is building up a nuclear program. Now, it says it's a nuclear energy program, but everyone else thinks, no, it secretly wants to build a nuclear bomb. Iran is also funding Hamas in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah north of Israel in Lebanon. So Iran is funding military proxies. There's not many of them left now, to be fair,
yeah.
but on both the south and the north of Israel. And now it might have a nuclear bomb, or might soon have a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
And it is made very clear that the first thing it does as soon as it gets a nuclear bomb, which of course it denies it doing, but is wipe out Israel. And so it's kind of like, I suppose, so everyone else is looking at this thing and saying, de-escalate, you know, Israel, calm down, you know,
Yeah.
because, you know, it's a pretty sort of anxious country.
They've got a lot on too.
They've got a lot on.
Very busy.
A lot of people hate them. You know, they're surrounded on all sides by
Yeah.
very angry people. And again, the calculation that Israel has to make, and I'm no fan of Benjamin Netanyahu, but if you look at just an Israeli position or as an Israeli government position, there's a bit of a difference between are they or aren't they developing a nuclear bomb, and are they or aren't they developing a nuclear bomb, which as soon as they get, they're going to use to wipe us off the face of the planet.
Because
So that's why it's gone.
I would assume this is kind of making Iran go, we really need bombs now, as opposed to before.
Well, this is the thing with preemptive strikes.
It's like,
That's right.
hang on, you know how we were like tinkering around with
That's
these bombs?
that's right.
I think we really need them now.
But this is the whole thing. It's a chicken and egg thing. So it's like, we have to attack you first in self-defense because we know you're going to attack us.
So then this is not one of the 4 questions,
Okay.
but it's a sub-question.
Question 1A.
Right. Okay. So Trump has urged Iran to surrender. But to who?
Well, this is the thing.
Like, what does that mean?
This is the thing. So unlike in a lot of other conflicts, and even then you could say Trump hasn't done a great job, and indeed the US hasn't done a great job in negotiating peace in the Middle East. It took this podcast to get peace in the Middle East.
100%. Wait for episode 2.
That's right. Yeah. There'll be nothing to talk about because everything will be
Everything's
solved.
fine.
Everything's
Thanks
fine.
to Chemist Warehouse.
That's right. Thanks to Chemist Warehouse. So Iran calls America Satan,
Right.
and it chants death to America at its sort of, you know, every school child in Iran starts the day with, we love the Ayatollah, death to America, yada, 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 right?
Yeah.
So they're probably not going to respect the umpire's decision if America is the one trying to sort of
surrender.
broker peace.
Yeah.
But everyone hates Iran except for the Russians. I know, it's so good, isn't it?
I need a pie chart.
It's like
or a
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
whiteboard.
That's right. So Iran, back in the day when it was Syria that the world was
Actually,
at
let
war.
me jump in. Let me guess.
okay.
And Ukraine hate Russia.
Yes,
Okay,
that's right.
I just wanted to add.
So
I just
Ukraine
wanted to
hates
show
Russia.
you I knew some
You
stuff.
do know that. No, that is very true. That is very good. And because the reason why Russia probably can't or won't do anything to support Iran, which is the only way this thing really, really escalates, is because it's too busy fighting Ukraine and it doesn't really have the manpower or the resources or as they say, the political capital. To, like, Putin's already got his own PR problem without going to war on behalf of a state that has been described as part of the axis of evil.
I would like Putin to negotiate my next contract, though, because he feels to me like he'd just sit there and go,
Yeah,
No.
not gonna, no.
but what about this? Nope.
No.
If only you could see us now doing impressions.
That's right. Which is kind of like what Donald Trump has sort of been like. You're watching a brawl between two guys in a playground, and you're sort of looking around, and you're going, is anyone going to step in? Are you going to do? The teacher rocks up and say, are you going to do something? And Trump has just said, oh, no, no, they're going to fight it out. They're going to fight it out. I'm going to the G7. And then he changed his, obviously got to the G7, and everyone said, what are you doing here? There's World War III about to break out.
Is that why you chuffed off?
Yeah.
Because I also got the feeling that he's not that good at playing ball in a room full of other influential men. I think he prefers being in his own room.
Yeah, I think he probably does. But, I mean, he ends up in his own room anyway. Like, they all come to him for their little bilateral meetings. And then he sort of undoes. Have you heard of taco theory?
No.
This started in... This started in international
You're
relations.
also not supposed to ask me questions in this, by the way.
just I've got 4 questions for you for the record.
Have you heard of taco? Yes, delicious.
So that's Trump always chickens out. So Trump talks a big game, says, I'm going to do this, do that. I'm going to fix Ukraine and Russia. Putin will quake in his boots. I'm going to fix the Middle East. If Hamas doesn't release all the hostages, I'm going to bomb it to the ground. Spoiler alert, it already has been bombed into the ground, so he's a bit late for that. And then he just doesn't do anything. He just then it's just like, nothing. And that's why Ukraine and Russia is still happening, Israel and Gaza is still happening, and now Israel and Iran is happening, except Iran may or may not have nuclear weapons.
So let me get to question number 2.
Wow.
I feel you may have already answered this, but what in an ideal world, what would America/Trump want to happen?
A couple of things. America wants a stable Middle East because America still relies on lots of oil from the Middle East. America also needs places to put, like right now there's a US aircraft carrier smack bang on the east side of the Mediterranean, just in case, shit gets out of hand.
And also, because you gave me an acronym, I got one too. There's also MOPS. I learned about MOPS yesterday.
MOPS, what's MOPS?
MOPS are massive ordnance penetrators.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen these things?
I saw that in a video last night.
They could basically just penetrate real hard.
Yeah.
And to a massive scale.
Dirk. He's wearing a tool belt. I've seen that one, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so these are the things that...
But they're American, right? The MOPS?
They're American. So there's a question mark over. So Iran has all its big bad nuclear stuff, whatever it is, deep underground. And basically the Israelis don't have big enough missiles to blow deep enough into these bunkers under the ground to actually hit their targets. So they know where they are, but they just don't have the oomph, and the Americans do. And so that's what the Israelis want. Now, presumably the Americans can just give the Israelis the stuff, or they can just do it on the quiet. It's not like the CIA's kind of foreign to overseas interference.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not saying they're good at it, but they've had a lot of practice.
Yeah.
So they could just go to... So that is presumably what Donald Trump is going to do. And then it's kind of all over Red Rover because, again, Iran is totally friendless. And also everyone
totally
else...
friendless because everyone hates Iran. Is that
everyone
what
hates Iran. So even the other Gulf states hate Iran because Iran is Shiite and everyone else is Sunni Muslim. Right. And so Iran's the wrong type of Islam for that region. And you know who else hates Iran? The Iranians. So the Iranians...
What?
Yeah, so the Iranians hate their own government.
No one likes Iran.
Including
Iranians.
Oh, no one likes the Iranian regime.
Right, okay.
So after the 79 revolution where the Ayatollah came to power, I saw there was a number plate in my street when I was growing up in Dandenong in Melbourne because I'm like hardcore working class. Just
100%.
Slip that in there.
Yeah.
And it was just a bumper sticker. And it just said, Ayatollah Asahola.
My dad actually used to call one of his mates the Ayatollah.
Yeah, that's
one of his, real strict mates.
Yeah, see? No one likes that guy. No one likes that guy.
Okay. Question number 3. Oh, you can add. You want to add more?
I just realised I didn't even answer your question. And the
Americans
want
Wait, reverse that.
So the Americans want a stable Middle East because even with this conflict, oil prices have just shot up through the roof. That's not good for anybody.
No.
And not good for a nation that purchases a huge amount of oil. So America wants stable oil supplies, affordable oil supplies, and it also wants a stable region so it can put its bases there because that's never caused any trouble before.
Well, that kind of leads me to my third question. How does this affect us? Is it just petrol prices? Because that's all I'm hearing about on the news, because we have that safety of distance, which is nice.
Yep.
I feel like it's nice being this far away from everything.
Yep.
But is petrol prices the only way any of this is going to affect us?
Yeah, the good news is that none of this really has to affect us unless, there's a nuclear holocaust. But
Yeah.
the real worry is that the US will be distracted by this, get quagmired in this, and take its eye off the ball of the other big threat, the other big factor, the other World War III, which is China.
Well, that's it. Where are they all in all this? Who do they like? Do they like the Iranians?
No.
Oh, sorry, back to no one likes the...
So the Chinese split from... So the Iranians got the Russians on side, right?
yeah.
And the Chinese and Russia, they used to be friends, but then in kind of the 50s and Stalin and everything, they kind of fell out a bit and they pursued different brands of communism and they got all really frosty and didn't like each other. Since then, China has tried to act as a broker with backing Russia in its war in Ukraine. So China doesn't really like Iran that much because, number one, no one likes Iran. But China has an interest in backing Russia, and Russia is backing Iran, even though it doesn't really have that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why Vlad's going around going, hey, guys, can't we just sort this out diplomatically?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? This is a guy that's bombing Kiev.
Have we heard anything from China? Has there been a peep out of China?
No, China just sort of does this usual thing where it just sort of stays.
Pretends it's asleep.
Yeah. That's right. Then wakes up and consumes all around it.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's like Crouching Tiger, Sleeping Dragon. So the problem is if America gets distracted or weighed down, I mean, if America spends all its military equipment and stuff over there, maybe it can't afford to build all the Virginia-class submarines that we're supposed to be getting under AUKUS. So we want America focused on our part of the world. Yes, avoiding World War III and stopping the nuclear holocaust.
Yeah.
But also sort of focused on our part of the world. We want everything to be really peaceful and boring.
Yeah, of course
boring
we do.
is good.
Yeah, 100%. We want to talk about grocery prices.
Exactly.
We want to say Cozzy Lives again.
Maths.
It's been weeks since we've said Cozzy Lives.
That's right. Maths isn't funny if, you're on fire.
All right, last question.
Yep.
Can all this get worse?
Yes. Anyway, great.
Great chatting to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Will it get worse?
How about I present you with something
present
even
me with
more
something before we
terrifying,
go.
right?
Yeah.
So the period since World War II is known as something called the Long Peace. And it's called the Long Peace because basically the human race is always at war with each other. And it's only since World War II, and it took, many, many millions of people to die and an actual Holocaust for everyone to say, all right, maybe we should stop trying to destroy each other. And, the UN was set up so they could, negotiate. So there's been little regional flare-ups. There have been different wars here and there. There's been Vietnam. There's been Iraq 1, Iraq 2, Iraq versus Iran. There's been a bit of Somalia, for good measure. Let's not forget about them.
Yeah.
We hear you guys. Bosnia, Sarajevo,
Sure. Yeah, true. Everyone's had a go.
It's all been localized. None of it, there's never been a global conflagration. You've never seen anything at scale as to what we had in, say, World War II. And then less than a generation before that, World War I. Before that, you had Boer War, Franco-Prussian War, Napoleon. It just goes on and on and on. This is the longest that the human race has been broadly at peace with itself across the globe pretty much since its existence. And so sooner or later, you would think it is human nature for us all to destroy ourselves. So on that happy note...
On that note... If there's an episode
thanks to
2,
this podcast,
I can't wait to see.
So we've fixed that. We've
it.
identified the problem. We've fixed it.
I've learned some things. I've learned that it's not going to get better. I've learned who everyone hates.
Iran.
Yeah.
In case you missed it.
We'll see you next week.
Can't wait.